What's up everyone, thank you for tuning in. In today's video, I will be teaching you how to use WordPress. Hi, my name is Noe. I'm the founder of RGV WEB DESIGN LLC located in South Texas, where we help businesses build their website, software, apps, games, logos, etc. If you are a business owner and would like to learn more, check out our website at rgvwebsitedesign.com. I will also link it in the description. Also, before we begin, I have some pretty awesome news. I will be releasing my second book this coming December or early January 2024. Not too sure on the final date yet, but stay tuned on our socials and website to find out the exact drop date. The book is called SEO, Mastering the Art of SEO Without All the BS. You can read more on our website and or pre-order if you'd like. If you do, I appreciate your support, and again, I will link it in the description below. Anyways, now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get started with this WordPress tutorial. So this video is strictly going to be about WordPress. Therefore, I won't be going into detail about getting a hosting provider and setting up all that. However, it isn't too difficult, and I'm pretty sure there's tutorials online for it. And if needed, I'll make one in the future. Just let me know in the comments. But for now, I will assume you already have your hosting provider, a domain, and are ready to get started on WordPress. Now for this tutorial, I will be using Hostinger as my hosting provider and using WordPress with that. Again, if you don't have a hosting provider yet, I'll link Hostinger down in the description below and you can get that set up fairly quickly. It's pretty simple. So once you have your hosting provider and your domain, we'll get started creating the website. So for me, it might look a little different for you if you're using a different hosting provider, but here on Hostinger, we just simply create a website. I'll create a business, create a new website, use WordPress, select, and here you could just use the password that you want to use to access your website, as well as the admin email and login information. So for Hostinger, I guess they give you some plugins that you can add before creating the website, but I will just manage later, so I'll skip that. They also give you a template if you want to use. I'm going to skip that. I don't need one, since we're just going to be going over the WordPress UI. So the business name or brand name, I'm just going to call it, just pretend that we own a taco shop, so I'm going to call it Tacos Express, and I'm just going to put the best tacos in South Texas. For now, we don't have to do that. You can just skip and write later. Again, this is something that Hostinger provides. And I'm going to use this domain for this project since I'm not currently using that. And then now we just wait for the website to get created and WordPress to get situated. All right, so if you're using Hostinger, you should come up to this page. If you're not, I'm not sure what will pop up for you, but it should be something similar. Here we have our control panel where we can control all the website settings. And then here is where we actually edit the website. I'm going to go straight into just editing the website. So again, depending on what hosting provider you're using, it might be a little different, but overall WordPress is usually the same throughout all the hosting providers. If you're using Hostinger, this is what you'll land on first. We can skip all this for now. This is just, I guess, like a kind of a walkthrough on what to do step by step, but that's what this tutorial is for. So let's just skip the Hostinger section and we'll go straight to the dashboard. And it's gonna make me log in. If it makes you log in like this right away, it's probably because you went straight to into editing, whatever. Okay. So now that we're in the dashboard, this is what you'll pretty much see. Usually, after you install a bunch of plugins and stuff, a lot of the plugins will have their daily news or weekly news, whatever here. You'll see updates here. You'll see like messages from a lot of these plugin editors or people, messages from your domain provider, hosting provider, WordPress, etc. Stuff like that. Updates, activity, all that stuff. So honestly, I really don't use this part a lot, but this is the main dashboard, I guess. Here is an important section, the update section. This is where Things that need to be updated will pop up. So for example, if you need to update WordPress, it'll tell you like, hey, WordPress, there's a new version of WordPress. Do you want to update it? And you can update it here. Same thing with plugins, themes, and stuff like that. If you log into your website and you see some plugins that need to be updated, they'll pop up here. And again, same thing for the themes. So this is a very important section. You always want to keep your plugins and themes updated. WordPress is kind of up to you. I would suggest to always update it, but there could be bugs and problems when you update your WordPress, and then there's plugins that aren't compatible with that WordPress new version. So just be careful with that. So I would always suggest maybe waiting a little bit until you see plugins and themes starting to push out new updates that are compatible with the new WordPress. So, but anyways, this section is very important. This is where all your updates will be. Next section is posts. This is pretty much where you will include your blog posts for your blog if you have one on your website. This is where on this post tab, this is where you'll see all the articles and blogs that you have written for your blog. Here we have an all tab. Here we have ones that are published, and if you delete some, you'll probably have a bin tab where you have a bin. You can restore or delete permanently. Same thing in drafts. Let's say you write one and you want to finish it later, you'll probably have a drafts little tab there, which will of course include your drafts. And here are the articles that you can click on them if you want. You can quick edit. You can edit the title, the slug, the date. You can have a password, make it private. Categories, right? So like, let's say for our website, our company website, we have different article categories pertaining to, for example, SEO, game development, app development, etc. So there will be different categories for these articles. You can also include tags, which have to be separated by commas, and these help when you have like a search bar or specific filters that people want to search for when it comes to the articles. You can allow comments, allow pings. You can schedule it, or make it a draft like we said, or pending review, etc. And then if you have different article templates, you will have different templates listed here, blank, default. Usually I'll just keep it default, because usually when you have a theme, it will already have the default template for the articles and stuff like that. And then you can update it, and then here it shows who the author is. If you have different users that are allowed to post on this website, you'll have different authors. Again, categories, tags. Here is, I think, the comments. Yeah, comment section, and then where the date it was published. And then here you can search for posts. And then let's say you want to create a post, right, for your blog. You could click here on this add new button, which will add a new post, or you can go here and add new. It's the same thing. It'll take you to the same place. And here we're on the WordPress editor. For blogs, you can add title, you can add a block. What I like to do is add the main title, add a subtitle, and then add a image, and then add paragraph. And for me, that has worked a lot for SEO purposes too. And then on the blog articles, you usually have this side section, and the post is like settings for the post. So like the whole post in general. Block is settings for the block. And so in WordPress, things are separated into blocks. So for example, this H1 title is a block, this heading is another block, and you see how the block settings come up. So you can change different things like the color, of the text, the background, the size of the text, the appearance, letter case, etc. And if you have different themes or stuff like that, you'll probably have different settings or more settings. And again, post is settings for the whole post in general. Here in the image, we can go to block, and now we have settings for the image. Same thing over here. So just remember that that the post is settings for the whole post in general, and then the block is settings for each block. In the post, you have a quick summary rundown, like is it visible to the public or is it a draft? Will you publish it immediately? Template, the URL, stuff like that. You want it to stick to the top of the blog. Is it pending review? Who's the author? Do you want to trash it? Then you have a little category section where you can add a new category. So we can say tacos is a category, and then that'll update the category. You can create a parent category, so it'll be blog, and then under blog it'll be tacos, etc. In the tags, you can add tags. You can be like fajita, and then comma, tacos, comma, chile, comma, and these will be your tags. Featured image will be the image that will show up on, for example, on search, or let's say on your blog. Let's say you add a blog section on your homepage. This will be the image, like a little image that will show up there. Think of it like a thumbnail on YouTube. So this would be like the thumbnail of your blog article. And so you can just click that and you can upload a file, or if you already have images on here, you can select them. You can select them here or search for them if you have a lot. And then if you select files, it'll, you can upload them as well through there. In the excerpt, you can write a little excerpt about the article. Discussion, you can allow comments and stuff like that. And then here, some options for Lightspeed, which is a plugin. I really just don't really touch this. And then once you're done, you can publish. If not, if you want to check how it looks on tablet, you can also use this setting to check on mobile, tablet, desktop, how it looks. And it's always best to make sure it looks good on all of them, all three. If you want to finish later, again, save draft. And now these little three buttons there, three dots there, bring up another little menu. And it has different modes here, different views. I really don't use these a lot, to be honest. I just leave it as whatever it is. But you can mess around with these if you like to view this page differently. You can use a visual editor or a code editor. It's up to you. You can click manage patterns, which honestly I don't really touch that. You can change keyboard shortcuts, copy, help, preferences, and these preferences again are settings and preferences for blocks and general stuff like that. I really don't touch that either. The only reason I would use this is if I want to add custom code, really. So I really just use these two from here, but everything else I kind of just leave it at that. If you install like plugins or templates, you might have more options up here, and these are pretty much probably going to be the same thing, like just different settings for blocks and the post in general. And I know when I add plugins, like SEO plugins and stuff like that, it'll add more settings in here in the post section. Same thing with the block section. So, but these are the main ones. Again, once you're done, you just publish. Here's the undo, redo. This gives you kind of like the hierarchy tree, or kind of just shows you the list of blocks that you have there. And then here's an outline, here's list view. It's kind of the same thing, just tells you what exactly is in this post, right, in this article. And then here, if you want, you can add blocks, and then here you have a bigger list of blocks you can add. Again, with more plugins and stuff, you'll probably have more blocks. But this pretty much is a way to insert blocks, kind of similar to this. You can go browse on, and this will pop up, or you can just search. Same thing. So like, let's say you wanted to insert a verse, you can write a verse, and tacos are good. Or let's say you wanted to insert a gallery, same thing. So that's pretty much it. Here, for example, you'll on the image and gallery blocks, more settings might pop up here. Here's where you can have different things you can transform it to, columns, files. You can move blocks up and down using these arrows. You can align stuff, duplicate, copy. These are just more settings on the blocks. Text here has more settings too. Quicker, these are kind of like quicker settings, I guess. Here you have more settings with footnote, highlight, inline code, all this stuff. Pretty straightforward. Again, you probably won't use everything here, but just so you know that it's there. You can align text center, you can bold it, stuff like that. You can link it. So like, let's say you wanted to link certain words, you can link it, and then you can just link it to another article or your homepage, whatever, and then it'll link. So anyways, we're going to save as draft. We're not going to publish it. You can press that to go back. So that was how to add a new post. And then here in the categories is the same thing on adding a category on that side section, except here it's just a little more easier for us to see and understand. Here you can add the name of the category, so you can go like let's say featured, and then the slug will be, the slug is pretty much like this part that's added after the URL. So you can be like the best tacos at Tacos Express, right? And then you can add a parent category and then a quick description, you know, stuff like that. And then you can add it, same thing, pretty much same thing as the categories we talked about in that other section. Here are tags, same thing with tags. You can add tags like we did in that last section. It's pretty much the same thing, pretty straightforward. So moving on to the next tab, media. This is where you can add all things media, you know, files, videos, GIFs, images, PDFs, etc. You can just add new, select files, and stuff will pop out, right? Where you can just drag and drop, or you can just, you know, click it and then open and it'll pop up there. And same thing here. Underneath that, add new is the same thing as just adding a new file. Same thing, select files, click it, add it. Pretty straightforward. Depending on your hosting provider and I guess the type of subscription you have, you might have a limit on the file sizes, but that's probably different for everybody. So just make sure, you know, you have the right subscription or the right or if you need to update the settings in your control panel, make sure you do that, or just contact support if you have bigger files and stuff like that. Now to one of the more important sections is the pages. Here's where you'll see all your website pages, like your home, about us, contact, etc. Pretty straightforward too. Here's the title of the web page, and then it'll give you a brief, like, you know, is it a draft, whatever, and then here's your author, date, comments, etc. Same thing here as in the post. You'll have all draft, and then if you trash it, you'll have a bin, and then you can undo if you want. Down here is the add new. You can add a new page. We're gonna go back over here. Add new, same thing, and the same thing, you can create your page, right? So home page, and then you can add a block, let's say an image, and then let's just say button. And then let's say we just wanted to center align that. Oh, here. Yeah, we can do that, whatever, and you can customize it. And on this side, it's pretty much the same thing as the post. If you're using WordPress, I personally don't use WordPress to edit my websites. I use Elementor, but I'll make another tutorial on that. But essentially, it's pretty much the same thing as in the articles. You'll have your featured image. You'll have settings for each block in the block settings, and you can kind of mess around with that. You have styling, properties and stuff you can edit. And I won't go too into detail about all these, but it's pretty straightforward. I mean, here's text color, background color, size, padding. Just a quick rundown on padding. Padding is adding extra space inside the element, and margin is adding space outside. So for example, if you add padding here on top, you'll add space inside, versus if you add margin, you'll add space like outside, and it'll kind of push away from the other elements. So just remember that. And then pretty much same thing. You can code edit. It's pretty much all the same settings as is with the articles. But again, I don't use the WordPress website editor. I just use, I think it's called like a CMS, right? So I use the WordPress CMS, but I use the Elementor plugin to actually edit my websites. I think it's a lot better. And then here you can quick edit, so you can also add a slug. Again, slug is like what shows up after the URL, so you can go like tacos express home page, update it, and then can also, you know, edit all this other stuff. Pretty straightforward. And if you want to preview it, like let's say you just want to preview the page, you can click it there and it'll preview what it'll look like. And then if you click that, it'll take you to edit it. So here's comments. I really don't use comments in my website. I don't know, I just don't really need them or care for them or like them. I really don't think you need them either. A lot of people do. If you do, of course, it's up to you, that's fine, but I really don't use them. So I won't go through this one, but it's pretty much just shows you comments that people leave, or if you put it in settings where you have to review the comments and accept them before they're published, then it'll show up here like on pending or approved. If you trash them in bin, etc., etc. Here's another important section, appearance. This is where you'll find your themes. Here you can add a new theme if you know you would like to add themes from WordPress's I guess theme store, and you can just install a theme. You can search for some, you can go, you know, different filters. Let's say you want to see the theme before you install it, you could preview it and you just see what it is. There's a brief description. You can navigate the different themes here as well. And let's say for now we want to install this one. We can install it, but before we do that, upload theme real quick. Let's say you download a theme from Google, right, or the internet, and you want to upload it. Make sure that's in zip format, make sure it's the right file. Then you just choose file, and then you can upload your theme and install now, and it'll automatically do that for you. But for now, let's just install this theme. Details and preview are kind of the same thing. It'll just show you this. So we can exit that out. Then once you install it, you can activate it. And again, depending on your computer or your internet connection, it'll determine how fast it'll be activated. But once it's activated, it should show up here, and this should be your primary theme. If you go into the theme, you'll have a customized button, widgets, which will take you to your widgets, which we'll talk about later, and then menus, which take you to the menus, and then that's pretty much it. Customize, we'll talk about that right now, but that's pretty much it. Here are your other themes if you have other themes installed. To save space, I would just delete them, but that's up to you. So once you're in your theme, depending on your theme, a lot of this might change, so just be aware of that. Some themes do change, like the sections in your WordPress editor. You know, not all of it and not all of them, right? But some will change it, and some might probably most likely add more sections. But it's not too difficult or not too hard to go through. Once you're in themes and you go to customize, this is customizing your theme, right? And here in the customize section, Usually in the customize section, you'll be able to edit the header and footer, which are controlled by the theme, and the styling stuff. And we'll go through that in another video in depth on each element. But here we'll just do a brief overview. Here's your theme. You can change it if you want, but if you're going to go with this one, these settings will pertain to that theme. Here you can customize the typography, which is just the text. You can change the fonts, margins, stuff like that. Here you can change the colors of everything. Here you can change your palette colors or add to the palette. That way it's quicker to, let's say you're editing colors throughout the website, it's quicker to just choose a color than having to type in the hex code or RGB code and having to look for the exact color all the time. You can just add it here in the palette and you can just quickly choose. Container layouts, here we'll just say like usually do you want a narrow or full width. Here you can customize the width to the exact pixels, and then some themes, yeah, you have to upgrade now to get more I guess features, but I would suggest just finding a plugin that gives you those features, which is pretty much, you can always find that. So try not to waste your money if you don't have to. On buttons, here you'll be able to customize all buttons on the website, so you can make them square, you can make them like hollow or, you know, circular, oval shaped. Secondary buttons as well, so like let's say your primary button will be filled in and then your secondary button will be hollow. And you can change the padding, the radius is how circular you want the corners or the vertices of the button. So if you want them more circular, then you would go and put in like more pixels, and it'll make it more. Here's your pixels, your EM, and your percentage. These are just different units for the numbers that you're using. This is to link everything. So let's say you want to affect the left but not everything else, then you would just unclick it. If you want to affect everything together, then you would click it and just chain link everything. Again, these are things that we won't go into depth in this video, but it's pretty straightforward. You can always find the definitions on Google or find a YouTube on video. And then here you can affect the colors of the buttons as well for the theme, right? And again, all these colors and fonts and stuff like that, and text sizes, these will have these are higher up in the hierarchy. So first your website will check this. But if you manually edit, like for example, an Elementor, or let's say like this is blue, right? But I want to make it only this red, then you would have to go down into the website and manually edit that to red. And so, but this theme settings and colors and styling always has first dibs, I guess you can say, for lack of a better term. It'll have first dibs on the styling. Here you can add a scroll to top, which is usually a lot of themes have, which is this little button. If you don't want it, you just unclick it and it'll take it away. And it's pretty straightforward. You click it and it'll scroll to the top. You can put whether you want this to be on just desktop or just mobile or both. You can position it, size, style it, etc. Accessibility. You can kind of affect these settings. I really won't go into this. I really don't use this, to be honest. Block editor, I don't really use this either, but you can look into that. I guess it's global padding for the WordPress groups and stuff like that, and the blocks. Here's miscellaneous, some miscellaneous settings. Again, different themes will have more customization options, but again, that's up to your theme and whichever one you choose. Every time you customize, make sure you publish or save to draft or schedule. Or if you don't want to change anything and you just say never mind, you just discard changes, or you just exit out and just be like, okay. So that's the customization of your theme. Next, we're going to jump into widgets. These are basically kind of like creating your own blocks in a sense. or they're like blocks that the theme will provide for you. And as you can see, some of these widgets are, for example, like, you know, this main sidebar. So this will be a widget that you can include on your website, and it'll be on the sidebar of your website. Here's like another widget, footer bar section 1, which you can add blocks to. So it's basically just like a groups that your or things that your theme provides to make it easier to add to your website, so that, let's say you want to add a main sidebar to your website, you won't have to add block by block. You can just add the widget and it'll just make things a little quicker. I really don't use widgets a lot, to be honest, again, because I use Elementor. But I mean, if you do use the WordPress editor to edit your websites, it's probably an easier and faster way to get things done by just adding widgets. So you can look into more of this. I know WordPress has documentation, or I'm pretty sure there's more videos on that, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just creating your own little kind of blocks to add. Creating like a big block with smaller blocks, so that if you want to continue adding these blocks to other pages, it's a lot easier. Pretty much it. And then here you can add another block, create a block, and then here you have your list view, etc. Pretty straightforward. Here in the menus is where the menu section is where you can create your menus. You need pages for this, but let's say I want to create a menu called main menu, and here you have some options. So is your main menu going to be the primary main menu, which will be at the top of the header on your home page, for example? It'll be like that menu that's there. Is it going to be the secondary menu? Is it going to be an off-canvas menu? This is like for mobile phones. Is it going to be a menu that people can see when they're logged in? Or is there going to be a different one? Is it going to also show up in the footer? So you can create different menus, and then WordPress will use these options to determine where it'll be seen, right? So like, let's say you have a footer menu that's a little smaller than the main menu, the primary menu. So you would add that to the footer menu, etc., etc. Then you just create it. And then if you have pages, usually it'll just say like, let's say home page, and you can click add and it'll add it to the menu. Let's say you want to add a post as a pay or as a link to page or whatever, then you can add that. For example, here you can just say add to menu. So now part of the footer menu will have this as a link to click, and then let's pretend this is our home page. You can switch the name. You can switch the names, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know why it says unlock. I think it's part of the theme, but again, I use Elementor, and I don't use these themes. I use better ones from Google, or from a plugin that I could show you later called Starter Templates. They have pretty good themes and templates for creating your website. Here you have custom links. So like, let's say instead of on the menu, let's say you want to put like Facebook, right? Then you can have your URL to Facebook, and then on the menu it'll say Facebook, so when they click it, it'll go straight to your Facebook. And so these are like custom links you can add to the menu. And then here are custom categories, or your categories that you can add to the menu as well. So now we're going to look at the theme file editor. I would not suggest going in here, to be honest, if you aren't well versed in code, because this is all the code on how the theme works and how it functions, and you don't really want to mess with that if you don't know what you're doing. If you do, by all means, do what you need to. But if you have a theme, I really wouldn't suggest editing any code in here. So I wouldn't use this. Again, if you want to edit stuff and you're well versed in coding, then by all means. But otherwise, this one you can usually always skip. And a very important section, maybe the most important one, is the plugins. Here you can control and view and take care of all your plugins. Pretty straightforward. Similar to the posts and the pages, tabs. You have your active ones, you have your all plugins. Here we have an auto updates disabled, and then you'll have one that says auto updates enabled if you enable them. Here, which is basically, what it says, right? So these plugins will be automatically updated for you when they require it. Here you can deactivate plugins. If they're deactivated, you can activate them. You can check their settings if they have settings, and it'll go straight to the plugin settings, which, depending on the plugin, will have its own sort of layout and settings and stuff like that. If you want to add a new plugin, you can click here or here. If, let's say, you have 100 plugins, right, and you don't want to go one by one, to edit them, you can click here to click all of them, or you can, let's say you click out of your 100, you click 20 of them, then you go to bulk actions, and let's say you want to delete all of them. You would just delete, apply, and it'll delete all of those that you checked. Or if you want to enable auto updates, you can do that, and it'll enable auto updates, right? So that's just a bulk action editor. So now let's say we want to add a new plugin. Here you have like a plugin store. Let's say you want to add your own plugin that you downloaded from the internet or that you made. You just upload plugin, and kind of like media or themes, you just click the file and upload it. Here you'll have different filters, right? Popular, recommended, favorites. This is your best friend, the plugin search. And you can say, do you want to search as keywords, author, tag? Usually just keep keywords. And first thing I usually download is Elementor. And then let's say you install it. It'll install it for you. You can also click the plugins to see more about it. Usually they have docs, right? Documentation. Usually they'll have like their website on there. You can see screenshots, reviews, stuff like that, ratings. And then once you choose to install it, you could just activate it, and you can install more. You can see, their ratings, active installations. I try to look at both, right? Like you want to have good ratings and a lot of active installations. Like you don't want really good ratings and a lot of them, but like 2 installs, you know what I mean? So I try to keep it kind of the same, right? And then it'll have like when it was last updated and is it compatible with your WordPress version. At least here on Hostinger. I don't know how it might be on other ones, but that's how it looks here. And so yeah, then you can go back to your installed plugins, and if you want to activate it, you can activate it. If you want to delete it, you delete it. See more details, etc. Same thing. In the plugin file editor, it's the same as the theme file editor. Again, I wouldn't touch any of this if you don't know what you're doing. That's pretty much what the plugins are for, so that you don't have to code them yourself. But by all means, if you want to, go ahead. If you do know how, or if you know what you're doing, then by all means go ahead. But that's pretty much the plugin section. Pretty straightforward. This is where you'll have you'll spend a lot of time on is just getting new plugins in, which will aid you in the website editing process and building one for your business or for whatever it is you're building for. Next section is the user section. Here we can add users, view users, etc. You can bulk and change roles. You can, again, bulk actions to delete their accounts. This is the main account, the administrator account. So always, make sure you have at least one account in there. You can add new. So like, let's say you have an employee or your buddy or your partner or whatever, you want to give them access to be able to edit the website. You can just fill this in, create their username, whatever. Website, you don't have to add anything if you want. You can. That doesn't mean like, oh, which website are they going to be able to edit? It's just like, I guess, part of their bio. You can generate a password or you can create one for them. And here in the role, you can give them a role. So like, are they just a subscriber, basically like a customer? Are they a contributor, an author? So are they allowed to make blog posts? Are they an editor? So are they able to edit the website? And are they an administrator, which means, are they able to access all settings of the website? So it's just up to you. That's where you just add new users. And I'm not sure if you can add like an unlimited amount. I think you can, but I'm not too sure about that. Here in profile is where you can access your profile. So like, let's say I log in as a different user. Under profile, I can access my profile and just edit, stuff like colors, change my name, my bio, change my password, my profile picture, etc. And then and it's cool because you could change the colors here, but not really important. But just up to the user, up to you guys. I'm gonna go to default. Tools. You'll have tools that you can import, export. Honestly, I don't really touch this a lot. Site health, I don't really look at this either, but you can check, is my site healthy, security wise, performance wise, whatever. And you can just check, versions of information on everything. Again, I really don't touch that. I usually use plugins to check like SEO and website health. And then here you can export personal data, erase it, etc. I really don't touch tools, if I'm being honest. Lastly, on settings, here's the settings of the website. So site title is pretty much what your website is titled, right? So let's say it's a taco website, then let's say our business is Tacos Express. That would be the title of the website. And the tagline is kind of like a slogan, right? So we can just put best in Texas. And then here's the WordPress address. So the difference between WordPress address and site address is pretty much like, let's say you want different links to access to your WordPress CMS versus your actual website, right? You can just switch this up. I usually keep this the same. I'm not sure if that's good practice, but I usually keep it the same because I know if you want to access the website, as far as to edit, you would have to go in here and you would have to slash and then type in WP admin or just admin to be able to edit it. And then you still have to log in. So it's up to you. I usually keep them the same. And then here's the admin email. So what's going to be the main email or the main admin email? Here's like, can anyone register as a member, right? Or can anyone create an account on your website? And when they do, or if they do, are they all going to be administrators, which, you probably shouldn't have, or are they all just going to be subscribers, which is like the lowest amount of power they have on your website? Here's site languages you can change, time zone, right, etc., time format, day format, what day does the week start for you, and then you just save changes. That's general settings. Writing settings is usually like for the blog and emails, contacts and stuff. Default post categories, so where are your posts defaulted to posts, and obviously the blog. So if you have like a blog page you want them to default to, the post to default to, you would just click that. For now, blog. Default post format, I usually just keep it on standard because you can edit that within the articles. But if you want to make all the posts formatted as quote format, then you can do that. It's up to you. I leave it on standard. Here's your mail server, login password and stuff like that. This is usually like when people contact you on like a contact page or a contact form. This is to like be able to send and receive emails through the website to your email and to theirs, stuff like that. But there's a lot of videos and more help on that online that you can look into. I won't go into depth into that, but pretty much, it's pretty much just to help to send emails and to post emails through WordPress. So reading is more blog settings really. Do you want like little excerpts, or do you want full text? Search engine visibility. This is if you don't want your post to be scraped or found by search engines. I always leave this unchecked, but again, it's up to you. Here's like how many posts do you want to show at most. Discussion, again, more blog settings. I usually turn off comments, but here you can go through them yourself and see what settings you want. And then here's like avatars on people that comment, stuff like that. Up to you. Again, I really just turn off comment settings and all this other stuff, so I really don't have to worry about this section. Media is the settings for media, right? Like, so your images and stuff like that. Thumbnail sizes, pretty straightforward. You can edit the pixels on that. You can click this, to organize uploaded files and et cetera, pretty straightforward, just media settings. Permalinks is basically how you want your permalink structured, and that's pretty much like this stuff over here. How you want it structured. Do you have a custom structure, post name, where it's just the URL and then whatever the post or the pages, or if you want a date included, it's up to you. Just be careful with this, because a lot of plugins usually require a certain permalink, I think, something like that. Or like, for example, if you use like WooCommerce, I know they require custom structure, so just be careful with that. You might get an error and it might like kick you out, or you have to log back in to change it or revert back to a previous save that you had. But it's up to you. I usually leave it on either plain or post name, but again, it's up to you. And again, just be careful with this with the plugins. It's not like detrimental or anything. You can always like change it and stuff, but in case you come across an error, like, don't freak out. It's just probably just a permalink error on the structure. So you can add category base or tag base, up to you. Here's privacy stuff. Boring stuff, skip. And then here's settings on Lightspeed Cache. Is just a plugin that we have. So sometimes your plugins will have settings under this settings tab, or usually they'll have their own dashboard, right? Their own little section with their own stuff. Think of it like a mini WordPress, but for the plugin. So they'll have their own settings, their own widgets, their own stuff like that. So, and then when you add plugins, there'll be more sections, and you can collapse menu or expand it. And that's pretty much it for navigating WordPress. Here you have other little stuff, help. Here you can see your profile. You can log out, edit. As far as like on the hosting or provider, here it's just like a quick shortcut to create a new post, page, media, user. When you have plugins, you'll usually have like a quick shortcut up here. Comments that are unread or stuff like that might show up here, and then here you'll have another section to visit your site if you want to see it in real time, how it looks on Google or like online. And here's to go back to, I think, your WordPress dashboard, and then you can check out like these other support documentation, stuff like that. When I use Elementor, I know another quick shortcut pops up. So again, like we said before, when you add plugins, you might have more like shortcuts up here. And that's pretty much it for navigating the WordPress CMS. If you have any questions or issues, or want me to discuss something further, just feel free to let me know in the comments. But that's pretty much it, everybody. That concludes this WordPress tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed it and learned how to use WordPress. If you liked the video and it helped you out, please leave a like and comment. It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe, since there will be more videos coming soon, similar to this one, on all things tech and business development. Anyways, I wish you all a blessed rest of your day, luck in your business endeavors, and really appreciate you for watching. Till next time. Thank you guys.